Welcome back, everyone. If you're new here, I share real and unsettling stories, some from personal experience, others passed down by those who lived through them. Tonight's story is one that still haunts me. Every time I think about it, it's something my best friend told me years ago, and even now I can't shake it. Some stories burrow into your bones, and this one's like that. My friend's dad was a logger, a tree saw operator to be exact. If you're not familiar, a tree saw is a massive, intimidating machine built to take down giant trees and slice them into precise lengths. His job took him deep into the forests of the Pacific Northwest. Long, grueling hours in some of the most remote places imaginable. It was hard, dangerous work. He got paid per tree rather than per hour, so he often pushed himself to work up to 20 hours a day. Sometimes he worked alone, but half the time he had his friend Griffin beside him. They were both tree saw operators, working opposite ends of the same job site. They kept in touch by radio, especially in the vast silence of the wilderness. A few years back, they were sent to a new site, one so isolated, it took the company over 3 weeks just to clear a road wide enough for the equipment. They were deep in untouched forest, high up on a mountain where no one else should have been. 10 days into the job, things got strange. It started with their radios. They began picking up chatter, low, static-filled murmurs. At first, they thought it was interference, but no matter how many times they changed the channel, the voices followed. That's not supposed to happen with that kind of equipment. It defied explanation. As they climbed higher, the voices became clearer, never full sentences, but enough to tell they weren't hallucinating. The tone was casual, even lighthearted, but the words made no sense. Alongside the radio disturbances, they found signs that someone else had been there: containers, footprints, even small fire pits and makeshift camps. They were too far from civilization for any of it to make sense. One day, Griffin radioed in. He'd found a tent hidden just off a trail. Inside, they discovered something horrific: a duffel bag filled with children's underwear, duct tape, rope, and hand-drawn sketches of children being abused. There were also photos of a fresh apple, suggesting the camp was recently occupied. Griffin wanted to get the hell out, but my friend's dad, ever focused on the job, pushed to stay and finish. They agreed to cut radio communication to emergencies only. That night, the radio came to life again. This time they heard two men talking about collecting firewood. It was casual, mundane, but knowing what they'd just seen made it deeply unsettling. The next night, my friend's dad made a terrible decision. When he heard the voices again, he grabbed the radio and demanded they identify themselves. The channel went dead, no response. The silence that followed chilled them more than the voices. Around midnight, Griffin woke him, whispering that someone was outside. Footsteps crunched around the camper. The door handle jiggled, then long, deliberate scratching on the outside. They were paralyzed, completely unarmed. Finally, my friend's dad moved to check. Just as he reached the door, it exploded open. A man slashed him across the face with a knife. Dazed, he fell from the camper, only to be tackled. Another man appeared and began kicking him in the head. Then Griffin charged out and tackled the man with the knife. The attackers fled into the woods and vanished. They drove 2 hours to the nearest hospital. My friend's dad's face was shredded, his eye permanently damaged. They filed a police report, but no one was ever caught. Weeks later, after the job resumed, a fellow logger was found in a ditch, bound, assaulted, and murdered. Again, no arrests. To this day, my friend's dad lives with PTSD. His damaged eye, with its clouded pupil, is a constant reminder. I haven't heard from them in years, but I still hope he's alright. The forest has always had a way of making people feel small, but this story, it makes me wonder what's really out there. Thanks for watching. If this story gave you chills, or made you think twice about venturing into the woods, hit that like button, subscribe for more true horror stories, and drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts, or any eerie stories you might want me to share next. Stay safe out there, and never ignore that strange voice on the radio. Last summer, I set out to conquer a major section of the Pacific Crest Trail. I've always found peace in nature, and solo hiking has been my escape from the noise of everyday life. My plan was simple: drive to the endpoint, hitchhike to the trailhead, then hike back over roughly 10 days. I'd done trips like this before, nothing out of the ordinary. Just me, my gear, and miles of forest. For the first few days, it was exactly what I needed. Towering pines, winding paths, the crunch of dirt beneath my boots. I barely had to stop. I'm in good shape, and the solitude fueled me. Each night I'd set up camp slightly off the trail, just far enough to avoid attracting attention. As a solo hiker, it's safer that way, or at least, that's what I thought. By the third night, everything changed. I woke up to an unshakable feeling, like something was watching me. I checked the tent. Nothing. Grabbed my flashlight, and stepped outside with my rifle. Still nothing. I chalked it up to nerves, until I checked my gear. My wallet was gone. At first, I thought I had misplaced it, but after tearing my pack apart, I knew someone had stolen it. But why just that? And how did they get in and out without me waking up? Over the next few days, more things disappeared. My knife, a lighter, a couple of energy bars, items that didn't seem valuable, unless you were living off them. That's when it hit me. I wasn't alone out there. I began to feel watched, truly watched. No cell service meant no help. I considered turning back, but the math didn't work. I was too far in. I'd have to hike for days, and no way was I sleeping peacefully again. That night, I tied my tent shut and lay next to my rifle. The wind outside felt like whispers. I hardly slept. The next morning, nothing had been touched, but the damage was done. I was unraveling. The forest no longer felt peaceful. It felt predatory. Then came the hallucinations. At least I think they were. A splash of cold water that didn't exist. Shadows flitting just out of sight. I remember one so vividly. I stepped into what I was sure was ankle-deep water, only to look down and see dry ground. My sock was dry. My mind was not. The worst moment came 2 nights later. I woke to the sound of footsteps circling my tent. Slow, deliberate. I froze, rifle in hand, too paralyzed to move. They eventually drifted away, but I didn't sleep a second after that. The next morning, I snapped. I packed up in a frenzy and decided to hike straight through the day and night to get back to my car. No more camping, no more waiting to be toyed with. I hiked into the darkness, flashlight in one hand, rifle in the other. I thought I was alone, until I heard footsteps behind me. I spun, flashlight aimed, and I saw it. A man ducking behind a tree. I yelled for him to come out, rifle aimed and ready, and then he stepped forward. He was wearing my missing shorts. He was barefoot, filthy, covered in hair and scratches. His eyes locked with mine. As he took a step closer, I fired a warning shot. He flinched, then bolted into the forest like an animal. I don't remember the last stretch to my car. I was in a panic haze. I locked the doors and called the police. When they arrived, they were quick to suggest I leave. Whatever, or whoever that was, they didn't want me waiting around to find out. What haunts me the most isn't just what I saw, it's the idea that he had been there the whole time, watching, studying me, taking things just to drive me mad. Since then, I haven't set foot on a trail. I still think about that man, still wonder if he's out there waiting for the next lone hiker. If you're thinking of hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, go with someone, bring protection, and never, ever assume you're alone in the woods. If you found this story as disturbing as I did living through it, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more real horror tales from the edge of civilization. And tell me in the comments, would you have kept hiking or turned back the moment things went missing? Stay safe out there. Before you settle in, Ask yourself this: what would you do if your home, the place that's supposed to be your safe haven, became the hunting ground for something not quite human? Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, I dive into the strangest, darkest real-life stories I can, and the one I'm about to share might be the most unsettling of all. This story has haunted me since the day I heard it, and I think it deserves to be heard by more people. So let's get into it. Brace yourself for the literal terror I'm about to share with you. I don't even know if this is the right place for a story like this, but I can't think of anywhere else. I just need to get it off my chest. I've told everyone I possibly could: family, friends, neighbors, even local news outlets, but none of it feels like enough. There's this weird compulsion inside me, this deep need to tell as many people as possible about what's been happening. So here it is. It's November of 2019 as I'm writing this, but the story begins over 7 years ago. I can't recall the exact year offhand, but let's just say it was around 2012. Could have been 2013, but 2012 feels right. Back then, I was in my mid-20s, had a steady job, and a long-term girlfriend. Now my fiancée. I never went to college, so I'd been in the workforce for years, and I didn't expect my life to change all that drastically. That meant I stayed close to home. My girlfriend and I had just moved into my childhood home. My parents passed it down to me, an old brick house that had been in the family for generations. My dad inherited it when he was 40, and now it was my turn. It had seen its fair share of renovations, sure, but you could still tell it was old. The brick exterior stood out, especially in our neighborhood, where brick houses were rare. I always kind of liked that. It made the place feel unique. We live in a quiet, wooded area. Our neighbors aren't exactly close. We're all spaced pretty far apart. Our house is the very last one on the street, meaning it borders the forest on 2 sides, and these woods are huge. I'm talking endless. When I was a kid, my brothers and I spent countless hours exploring out there, but we never even came close to covering it all. Some might find that unsettling, but I've always found peace in the isolation. I've never minded being alone. In fact, I prefer it. We'd only been living there for a few months when it started. It was winter. Can't remember the exact month, but I know there was snow on the ground. It was a Sunday morning, after 8 a.m., and I was heading out to grab my usual weekend coffee. That's when I saw them footprints in the snow. They were right next to my pickup. At first, I figured maybe my girlfriend had gotten up early and stepped outside without waking me. But as I followed the trail, that theory quickly fell apart. The prints didn't come from the house. They came from the wood. They led across the yard, through a broken section of the fence, straight to the driver's side door of my truck, and then turned right back around and vanished into the trees. No detours, no approach to the house, just a straight line to my truck, and back. I stood there, baffled. Later that day, I asked my girlfriend about it, but she hadn't gone outside at all. I wish I had more details about that first incident, but it was so long ago, and relatively mild compared to what came next. Fast forward 2 years, winter 2015. I remember it clearly because it was the year my Seahawks lost the Super Bowl. That morning, I stepped outside and instantly knew something was wrong. Footprints were everywhere. The driveway, around every window, along the house's perimeter. I'm not one to panic, but even I was rattled. I was running late for work, but I didn't want to leave my girlfriend alone. So I did a quick sweep of the property. Didn't find anyone, but I texted her about it just in case. Couldn't shake it from my mind all day, so I ended up leaving work early. When I got back, she pulled me aside and pointed out something she hadn't been able to stop thinking about. At first, I didn't get what she meant. Then I saw it. None of the footprints had shoe marks. Whoever left them had been barefoot. I was stuck. Who walks around barefoot in sub-freezing temperatures? My girlfriend tried to rationalize it, maybe an animal. But these weren't paw prints. They were human, 2 distinct feet. I called my dad to see if anything like that had ever happened to him in the house. He said no, but he told me to grab my rifle and follow the trail, just in case. I didn't want to, but he was right. My girlfriend wanted to call the police, but I figured it'd be pointless. No crime had technically been committed. If I found something in the woods, I'd call. The woods are vast, so I set a timer in my head. I'd head back before sunset no matter what. I followed the trail for about 30 minutes. Then it happened. The tracks split. 2 different paths diverged from the one I was following. I froze. Had I been tracking 2 people all along, or was this someone trying to throw me off? Maybe someone walked backwards in their own tracks. I didn't know which idea scared me more. It was getting darker, and I didn't feel great about being out there alone anymore. I turned back. We called the cops that night, as expected. They couldn't do much. I planned to go back out the next morning, but a snowstorm erased everything. No trail to follow. And just like that, things went quiet. For years, my girlfriend and I got engaged. Life went on. Eventually, we stopped talking about the footprints altogether. But then early this year, January, it all came back. I woke up one morning and looked outside. Footprints everywhere. All the memories hit me like a freight train. My fiancé broke down crying, asking if we were ever going to be free of this. This time it was worse. The prints led to the shed. Some of my tools were missing. I was furious. I called my friend Theo. He's an outdoorsman, experienced with tracking and hunting, and asked for help. He showed up a few hours later, and we prepared to head into the woods. My fiancé begged us not to go, but we assured her we'd be safe. Theo had a thermal scope for his rifle, which gave me some comfort. At first, we talked as we walked, but after about 45 minutes, we went quiet. It just felt heavy. The tension, the forest seemed still in a way I can't describe. And then again, the tracks split. We chose the left path. It ended in nothing, just vanished. We doubled back, tried the other. Same thing. This happened multiple times. Whoever we were following didn't want to be found, and somehow they were good at it. Theo pointed out that all the dead ends probably meant it was just one person. That made me feel marginally better. Eventually the footprints deepened. We were getting close. Then another set appeared beside the first. Theo cursed under his breath. "There's 2. He whispered. The sun had nearly set, and the forest was dark. I could barely see. Theo's scope was our only advantage. Then Theo suddenly stopped, arm across my chest. He was staring ahead, unmoving. Slowly, silently, he crept to a nearby tree and crouched down. I followed. After a long, painful silence, he handed me the scope. What I saw made my blood run cold. 4 figures, huddled in the snow. At first, I thought they were animals, but no, they were human. 2 larger ones hunched over, 2 smaller ones clinging to a tree. The smaller ones were twitching, moving erratically. They were eating something. They were all naked. I couldn't see faces. Thermal scopes don't show detail, but I saw enough. Eventually the larger ones picked up the smaller ones, placing them on their shoulder. Then they turned and walked deeper into the woods. Theo and I didn't move for nearly an hour. We were too afraid to make a sound. By the time we got home, my fiancée was still awake. I told her what happened, leaving out most of the terrifying parts, but she was still horrified. We called the police again. They agreed to search the woods the next morning. Theo stayed the night. We helped with the search, but the cops gave up after a few hours. The snowfall had mostly erased the print. My fiancé begged them to keep looking, but they said they couldn't justify a full-scale search over missing tools. I get it, but it still doesn't feel like closure. Theo and I know what we saw. Now winter's creeping in again, and both my fiancé and I are terrified those people, or whatever they are, will come back. We're seriously considering moving, but we haven't been able to make it happen yet. I keep wondering, why us? Why our home? None of our neighbors have ever reported anything strange. What do they want from us? Some of my friends think it's nothing, that they're just squatters or strange loners, but others, they say I should get out, fast. I don't know who to believe. I might try fencing off the yard from the woods, but I doubt that'll stop them. I just hope we're gone before they come back. If you've made it this far, thanks for listening. I'm sharing this because I need people to know this is real. Something is out there, and I don't think it's going away. If you've experienced anything even remotely similar, drop it in the comments. I'm not just looking for views. I'm looking for answers. Be safe out there, and I'll see you in the next one.